The next thing that we're going to do is swap out some of those icons for our social media icons. So you can head over to freeicons.io. There's a lot of different sites like this. The reason I prefer this one, at least for now, is because there's a lot of options, meaning if I want to do a full color Instagram logo, if I want a kind of more minimal outline, there's a lot that comes up when I search. The other reason that I like this one is that it doesn't force you to create an account. So a lot of ones similar to this, they make you register with them, give your email, they want to sign you up for a mailing list. So I like that this one just kind of keeps it simple and you can just download it. So there's two different types of file formats we'll work with in this class. One is SVG, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphic. The other one is PNG. So this is pixel based. So always in this course, we want to lean more towards SVGs. They are more what's called a nimble file, meaning that you can do a lot of stuff with them, changing colors, animating them. And also they're device independent, meaning that they're going to show up as crisp lines, whether or not it's like the size of a postage stamp or the size of a billboard. So it's a vector graphic. It's what we tend to use in web development. So I'm going to click here to download this icon, and it's going to take a minute and then download. Then I can head over here to my downloads folder, and it's got kind of a funky name, which is strange, but it is all of these numbers that are right here. So this is my folder. The next thing I have to do is move this into my repository. So I can rename this file to just be business-card. I'm also going to put the date in. So maybe I'll do 09/14/2020. So this will help me as I have different versions of my business card as I develop to keep them separate. So I'm going to click to see what's inside of this folder. So I can see on my top level I have an index.html. That's where all my content goes. My style.css. That's where all of my styling goes. And then I have this assets folder. So in there right now I have some placeholder files of things that are linked in there. So what I'm going to want to do is grab this SVG and bring it into here, drag and drop it into the assets folder. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this a little bit in Illustrator, because it seems like it kind of has a big artboard, and I don't really want that. That's going to give me problems. I also want to name it something, right? Because this name does not mean anything to me. So let me click and drag and drop this into Illustrator. Give it a second to load. So it actually opened up pretty nice and trimmed, so that's pretty good. Let's save it something now so I'm more familiar with what it is. So I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to instead call this Instagram. Instagram. When it goes to save, you don't have to change any of the settings. You can just keep it this SVG 1.1 and then hit OK. One of the things that's really cool about the SVG file format is that it's both code and something that can be displayed visually. So we'll talk about that more as the course progresses. Okay, so then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that business card folder that I'm working with today, open it up in VS Code, And what I should see now is in that assets folder, I should have my Instagram logo be present. So I can click on that. This is what it looks like as code. Again, we'll talk about this later, but just kind of interesting to know that it can both be shown visually on a screen in Illustrator or other vector programs, or it can also be inspected as code. So now when I head over to my HTML, I can see where this is placed in. So I have this div with the class of icon container. Let me launch my live server so we can see what is inside of that. And right now in this icon container, I have just these 3 placeholder graphics. I have this circle, this square, and then these 2 circles together. So instead, say I want to swap out this last one to be my Instagram. So I'm going to come over here to line 33. I have a div with the class of 2 circles, and then this is what it's pointing to. So image, and then this stands for source, SRC. So that's where it's going to look for that file and pull that file down. The source is always listed between quotes, and file paths need to be super accurate. It has to be exactly where that file is located. That's what's going to allow that image to actually show up properly. So what I'm going to do is erase what's between those quotes, and you'll see that image just deleted. I'm going to type in the letter A for assets. So VS Code is very, very smart. When I type in the A for assets, it's going to automatically pull that folder up for me. So then I can click on that, and then it's going to say, okay, here are all the files that I could load that are in that folder. Which one do you want me to load? I'm going to come over here to the Instagram.svg, and now that image has been swapped out for me. I still have some more customization that I have to do of scaling it, but before I go ahead and do that, why don't I go and everyone pull in the other 2 icons that they want to use as well. And you're going to do those the exact same way of swapping out the image SRC for each of those 3. The last thing I want you to do for today's code along is modify some of the colors in this as well. So you're starting to build your color palettes and what you might want to use for your colors. So what you can do is head over to your style.css and change some of these colors. The first thing I want to do, this border 8 pixel, that's more to help you understand CSS box model, and that there's like an inner box that these are all wrapped in. But I stylistically want to turn that off right now. So the best way to turn off a small piece of code is to just put your cursor anywhere on that line. So just click anywhere on that line. And then on a Mac, it's Command and \, and that toggles that one line off. So the nice thing about commenting out like that is that I don't lose it, right? If at any point I want to go back and turn that border back on, I can. But right now it's not rendering on screen, which is nice for me. Okay, so let me change some of the colors that are on here. So the first place that I want to change the color is the body. So body, that's styling actually everything here from lines 8 to lines 46. That is all the body, all the content of my page. So right now the background color is being set to gray. So what I can do is I can come in here. I don't want to get rid of that background color part of it, right? Because I want to have a background color. But now I can pick a different color. So I could either pick from a pre-programmed word. So say I want to do pink or something like that. I can select color that way. But more likely how you're going to be selecting color in this course is by custom RGB values. So I mentioned last week that Adobe Capture is something you can use to photograph things and get colors, or you can begin to customize color palettes by using these sliders. So what you do is if you hover over that word, this RGB color picker should show up, and you can start to come in here and customize the color. So say I want this pink to be a little bit deeper. I can modify the color by picking and sliding that way. I can also pick and drag this way to set color too, and kind of go through the full spectrum. So that's the way that you change the background color. And then if you want to change the color of the cards, it's right here on line 22. So the background dash color, again, the same exact command that's on this body, but instead it is styling both the front and the back side at the same time, the background color of that. So I can come over here, and if I don't want antique white anymore, I can click and then instead use my color selector and pick a different color. You want to be focused on readability here, so that color that I had before, there isn't really enough contrast, right, between my icons and the background color. It's going to be very hard to read. So spend your time and pick out a color that you want.